Hello class. In this video, we'll add a giant robot into the video. Let's import the city footage, create a composition, and cut it to 12 seconds. Create a composition for the robot, and key out the green background. Drop robot into the city composition, and move its anchor point to his feet. Scale it down. Since the camera is moving, we'll track the background so we can make the robot follow the camera movement. Make sure your current time is at the first frame. Click on Track Motion, and move the track point to the top of the building. The smaller square is the tracking area, and the bigger square is the searching area. Make sure the pattern covered in the smaller square has strong contrast, so the tracking can be accurate. Process tracking. Once it's done, create a new null object, and rename it to Track Position 1. Go back to the Tracker tab, set null object as the tracking target. Apply tracking to both X and Y axis, and the tracking data will be transferred onto the null object. Select the robot and parent it to the Track Position 1. If you don't see this option, right-click on the Layer tab, go to Columns and check it on. Now, the robot will follow the tracking point. Duplicate the city layer and rename it to City Mask. We'll use this layer to create a mask for the robot so we can place it behind the buildings. Drop a tint effect, then drop a curve effect. Increase the contrast. Apply the curve effect for the second time and increase the contrast. Now, we can see that the sky turned into white color and the buildings are in dark gray color. Create a solid layer and fill it with white color. Hide the layer, and we'll use the pen tool to draw a mask along the edge of the buildings. It doesn't have to perfectly match the edge. The idea is to fill the sky with pure white color. Duplicate the Track Position 1 and parent the white solid to it. We can rename the solid layer to White Mask. The solid layer will follow the track point. Move to the end frame, and you'll see that some parts of the mask overlapped with the building, and we'll fix that. Go to the first frame, create a keyframe on the mask. Move on to the end frame, and manually move the points. It will automatically add a second keyframe on the mask. Now, the white solid layer covered the sky. Select these three layers, pre-compose them into a new composition, so we have the city mask in one layer. The right top corner has a gap. We can go into the city mask composition and create a white solid layer to cover it. Go back to the city composition, apply a curve effect to the city mask, and increase the contrast so we can make the buildings in black color. Set the city mask as the Luma matte of the robot layer. If you don't see this tab, right-click on the Layer tab, go to Columns tab and check on Modes. Once you set Luma matte, the robot's feet will be covered by the buildings. Hide the robot layer. Use the pen tool to draw a mask along the edge of the buildings. Set the mask type as Subtract and increase the mask feather. Apply a tint effect to the robot. Map white to the highlight area on the buildings. Map black to the shadow area of the buildings. Reduce the opacity of the tint. Apply a curve effect and boost up the dark colors. Now, we'll create the dust around the robot's legs. Create a new adjustment layer. Apply a tint effect. Map both white and black color to the shadow of the buildings. Create a mask on the layer. And increase mask feather. Lower down the tint opacity. Pre-compose the robot layers, so the adjustment layer will only apply to the robot. We can slow down the robot to make it look in a giant size. Go to Time Stretch and type 300. Now, we can add some smoke to the buildings. Make sure your current time is at frame 1. Select the city layer and click on Track Motion. Find a good spot for tracking. Create a new null object and set it as the target of the tracker. Apply the tracking to both X and Y axis, and it will transfer the tracking data onto the null object. Bring in the smoke footage, key out the green background. Bring its anchor point to the root of the smoke, and extend the time. Bring it to the top of the building and scale it down. Apply a tint effect and map the colors to the background color. Go to frame 1 and parent it to the track position 3. The smoke should follow the track point and stay on the building. Follow the same procedure and place the other smoke footage onto the buildings. For the white smoke, we can apply a curve effect. Adjust the color channels, and we'll change it to the dust color. For the other white smoke, we can copy the curve effect from the last smoke. Now, if you zoom in and you will see the robot image is very sharp. However, the buildings are blurry because of the distance. We can apply a Gaussian blur effect to the robot to blur it a little bit. Then, apply a noise effect to the robot to simulate the film noise. Double check the final result, and add the composition to the media encoder for rendering. That's the whole workflow of adding a giant robot into the video.